Yo, what's up, Legacy Shinobi Squad? Today, we're diving into an absolutely insane what if. What if Naruto became the Demon Lord successor and conquered the elemental nations? In this dark and godlike tale, Naruto's life takes a twisted turn when he's chosen as the successor to the Demon Lord. Betrayed by those he once trusted and cast aside by Konoha, Naruto embraces his new destiny, unlocking powers that shake the very foundation of the world. With a dark, commanding presence and overwhelming strength, he sets out to conquer the elemental nations, toppling corrupt leaders and rewriting the ninja system. Along the way, he builds a terrifying yet loyal army and proves that even in darkness, he's the master of his fate. If you're ready for a story filled with epic battles, darker character arcs, and Naruto rising to unmatched power, then hit that like button, share with your friends, and subscribe for more. All right, let's step into the shadows and begin this legendary tale. One full year had passed since the official death of the organization known as Akatsuki, with word spreading of who had caused its untimely demise. Everyone now respected or feared the five Shinigami shadows led by their leader, known only as the Shinigami King. It was to such a point that they only took on the most dangerous A to S-class missions. Each of the highly dangerous missions ranged from high-level assassinations, retrieving highly sensitive documents that could possibly prevent future wars, and save beautiful princesses who fell in love with their saviors, from missing ninja hoping for ransom money. At the moment, the five members of the group in question were sitting in the forest of a friendly elemental country, resting from a recent mission well done. The group had just saved a wealthy businessman's only daughter from a group of high A-class, missing Neen from IWA, who were holding her ransom until her father had paid the hefty sum they had demanded of him. After the girl was rescued, her father gave them the amount he was willing to give to the kidnappers, saying money was no object compared to his little girl's welfare. The group only took half the money, as that was the amount they were hired for, and did not want to be greedy in terms of what they got in terms of payment. "You all did a good job today. You should all be very proud with yourselves," said Naruto, smoking his pipe given to him by master craftsmen after they had saved the man from his rival, who hired several high-level sound jounin to take him out. "I've heard talk of Konoha trying to find us to recruit for an upcoming war that is going to happen between them and the new IWA/Sound Alliance that was formed," said Zabuza, biting into an apple, finding it was much better than the stuff he and Haku used to eat back when they were always on the run. "IWA and Sound are trying to recruit us as well. The same goes with Suna, since they are still allied with Konoha, though Gaara prefers our presence strictly in his village. I don't think he'll want us to do any work unless it were absolutely necessary, since he's only doing it so Konoha doesn't get to us first," said Kimimaro, drinking some tea he had made for the group. "Aside from King Sama's friends, I say we let Konoha burn. They are just like the people in Kyumo that hated me," said Yujito, as that was Naruto's nickname, since the long tile of Shinigami King seemed a bit long in every sentence. It was also helpful in telling everyone they weren't alone and needed to be on guard in terms of protecting their identities from potential threats. "Now is one of those times. Such a waste of good tea," said Haku sadly, as they all slowly moved to readjust their facial coverings to hide their form, but made it seem as they were still talking, only using more hand motion as they did. Not far from the shadows. "Can you make out what's going on, Shikamaru?" said Kiba, after having searched for 3 long months now at the orders of their Hokage, and they finally found the infamously elusive Shinigami shadows. "Simple conversations from the looks of it, but don't let your guard down for a second, since these guys are good if they can take on high-level missions." The last little group of shinobi that tried to meet and greet these guys came from IWA. They were soon returned in pieces, with one survivor wishing he was dead, said Shikamaru, having seen the report given him by Tsunade, who got it from Jiraiya's spy network, and were able to get some pictures of the only team survivor of that group. Shikamaru had to be excused so he could go to the bathroom to puke. Still, Hokage-sama was most persistent and demanded that we try with every bit of our power to bring them back to Konoha to keep the IWA/Sound Alliance at bay, said Niji, as he used his Byakugan to keep an eye on them. "How do we approach this? Or approach them for that matter?" said Ino, wondering if her clan's abilities would even have any effect on them. "Yash! We must try to be as youthful as possible so they can see that we mean them no harm," said Lee, only to have his head hit from behind by both Tintin and Niji. "Baka! You are not going to do that new so-called friendship dance, Guy Sensei," came up with just so you can tell him you did it when we come back, said Tenten, shivering slightly at the memory, with Niji turning pale in terms of his reaction to it. Seriously, those two needed to do more than act youthful around everyone. I'll go in first with you, and Choji backing me up. Niji and Hinata will be farther back to watch with their eyes to help tell the rest of the team what is happening, said Shikamaru, before the team split off. With the Shinigami Shadows, they broke off from the main group. Don't attack unless it's necessary, said Naruto, who got a small nod from each of them. What about the main group not far from here? Said Haku, wondering if there were any hostiles in the distance. Leave them for now. I sense no ill will from either group, as I'm sure the rest of you can tell, said Naruto before standing up and looked into the trees where Shikamaru was. After gesturing for the Nara and his team to come down, they did moments later, as they realized that they had been made by the most feared shinobi in the elemental countries. Black Angel, would you please see to their other teammates in the distance and tell them to come here, as well they can hear what I have to say, said Naruto, turning to Haku, who nodded before heading off to meet them. We just came here to talk to you, said Shikamaru, hoping the man didn't just send his loyal subordinate to kill his team. I know that, Nara-san, but I don't think it will kill you to have them here, said Naruto, smirking behind his mask, knowing that Shikamaru was probably trying to figure out who he was really talking to. Says you, pal, thought Shikamaru, feeling nervous around the man, not wanting to have to return to the Hokage and tell her his entire team had become maggot food. Not long after Shikamaru said that, the rest of the shinobi force from Konoha appeared in the clearing, looking slightly nervous, being around the 5 shinobis of legendary status. Niji was standing a good bodyguard-style distance in front of Hinata, who was looking discreetly at Naruto every once in a while, trying to keep her blush down. Lee and Tenten were carefully measuring the Shinigami Shadows that were standing across from them, almost as if they were statues, with their leader, that was the Shinigami King, in the center with Shikamaru. So your Hokage sent a nearly all Jounin team this time, and friends of Uzumaki Naruto at that. Does she assume that you being friends with him will tip my decision closer to her favor? Said Naruto, sounding slightly insulted, his eyes blazing red as he stared at Shikamaru, who was starting to sweat under his Chunin vest. And no, it's just tea that you have eliminated a major source of Naruto's problems outside of the village, and she believed you to be a friend of his like we are, said Shikamaru, feeling more and more afraid of the man each second. Hokage-sama and the council have already come to an agreement with your contract in hiring you and your shinobi team. They wish to hire you so you could assist us against both IWA and Sound, who are gearing up for war against Konoha as we speak, said Niji, as he found the Shinigami King's attention turned to him. Indeed, though knowing your council, from my understanding, they like to double talk, lie, change the rules, and make up their own as time goes on. I could possibly trust your Hokage, given the fact she has tried to do her job despite the council being an unwanted thorn in her side. However, before any contract is signed and made official, I would like to read it for the safety of my team, and so we know exactly what we're signing up for. Tell your Hokage that unless she and the council agree to insert any and all stipulations of our own into the contract they made, we will sign no papers or fight for the leaf, said Naruto, as he had his own stipulations for his team, along for himself, to be put in should this go bad on them. You could come with us and approve the documentation yourself, said Ino, hoping the mysterious warrior would consider that possibility. The moment my team and I set foot into Konoha's boundaries, every ANBU and shinobi loyal to the council will rain down upon us to kill or capture. If we are captured, they will use us for experiments, breeding, and other horrible things one can do to another human being, said Naruto, knowing that all Danzo and the council needed were excuses to mess with his team to get their secrets. The Hokage would never allow it, said Tenten, though given their actions and wanting Naruto dead in the first place, so she couldn't really back it up. Perhaps. However, before we become hired by your Hokage under official contract, I need to take care of something before we can. When our affairs are in order, we will speak to your Hokage personally, said Naruto, looking at them all before stopping at the sight of Hinata, who was now officially a Jounin, though he knew she was one after taking the necessary exam 4 months prior. Naruto smiled at her behind his clothed mask, while Hinata had the decency to at least look somewhat shy under his fiery, yet gentle-like gaze. However, her teammates just assumed he was somehow intimidating her, and Niji didn't like it one bit as he moved himself in front of Naruto's line of sight. Asshole, thought Naruto before looking at the rest of his team before nodding, and they returned it in understanding, knowing that they would have to make a detour through the capital of Fire Country. When will we be expected to see you again, Shinigami King? Said Shikamaru, hoping that Neji would reign in his protectiveness for Hinata long enough for them to get back home. You won't unless I allow it. Just like today, said Naruto before he and the other 4 members disappeared as if they were ghosts. Well, that went better than expected. None of us died, said Tintin, having seen the size of the man's sword behind his back and did not want to be on the receiving end of it. Yes, but let us not jinx it and get out of here. Come on, Hinata-sama, we must go back to report to Hokage-sama immediately, said Neji, who was not going to fault his cousin for being so nervous under the eyes of the leader of the Shinigami Shadows, since he had felt unnerved by the man. Hinata could only not afraid to speak, knowing that if she did, she might somehow give away Naruto's secret identity as the Shinigami King. She knew she could trust her friends with a secret, but the impact of such mind-blowing information could cause fear and quite possibly doubt to linger in their minds in terms trusting her love or not. Deciding that revealing of Naruto's secret was not hers to do, Hinata followed the rest of the team back to Konoha to report their somewhat success to the mission. Konoha, 1 week later. So the Shinigami King will come here when he takes care of certain matters. That was what he told the team you sent, said Danzo, looking at the report himself given to him and the council by the Hokage. Yes. However, I want to make something clear to all of you in this room, since it is clear from what he told my search team that he doesn't trust anyone in this room. We are to treat them as guests in Konoha, and we will not cause any confrontations with them that might give them a reason to retaliate against us. If such a thing were to indeed happen, then they would take down more of us than before we could kill or imprison any of them. With such a loss to our ranks, we would be defeated outright by the combined might of both IWA and Sound, said Tsunade, hoping that the knowledge of impending doom for their own personal gain would be enough to keep their egos in check. Tsunade-sama, 4 of the 5 Shinigami Shadows are here in Konoha, said Shizen, looking pale, having seen them at the gate. What? Only 4? Is the leader with them? Said Danzo, his voice sounding somewhat eager, making Tsunade's eyes narrow slightly at the man. No. They told the Chunin at the East Gate that he will be along shortly, but they are to stay here in Konoha to secure his presence before Tsunade-sama and the council, said Shizen, having rushed to the office as soon as she was told this information. Thank you, Shizen. Please inform our shinobi to not engage them or even try to talk to them, said Tsunade, knowing that some of the more ego-driven shinobi would like to test their skills against them. Yes, Tsunade-sama, said Shizen before heading out to tell everyone to stay clear of the Shinigami Shadows. You seem slightly eager about the leader of the group, Danzo. Any reason why? Said Tsunade, looking at the man, who looked back slightly surprised at her words. I'm just eager to be in the presence of the infamous Shinigami King, said Danzo, lying as always through his teeth. But Tsunade had no way to prove it at the moment. How are conditions of both Hashigaki Kisame and Uchiha Itachi? Said Hamura, since it had nearly been a year since they were at their doorstep, a hair's breadth away from dying. They are healed for the most part. Kisame still walks with a limp, as does Itachi, though the Uchiha needs a cane to walk considering he is now blind. Though despite his current condition, I would say that he's still a level of Chunin, since it's clear he didn't rely on his Sharingan too much when at Akatsuki. I tried offering them full reinstatement as Konoha shinobi when they were fully healed in exchange for information they might have gotten concerning Orochimaru or the Shinigami King before they fought him. But they refused, said Tsunade, remembering the look of fear in Kisame's eyes and the stiffness of Itachi's body when they were given the offer. It's as if they are waiting for the man to come finish them off, said Kohara, scowling at the report concerning the 2 former members Akatsuki. Even the threat of interrogation from both Ibiki and Anko didn't seem to sweat those 2, since whatever the Shinigami King did to them was by far worse. That could be a possibility, but we will see what happens when the leader makes his presence known to the village and those around him, said Tsunade, getting a reluctant nod from the council members. Cubic compound. Hinata was training with Neji, though her mind was only half focused at the moment on the spar at hand, since the other half was busy thinking of a certain person that was finally returning to the village after all this time. Naruto was returning to Konoha soon, returning to her, and only to her, as she had seen how Sakura was among the demon-hating group that always despised Naruto. The pink-haired woman, who was now a Chunin just only a month ago, after she had finally met the requirements, held no remorse in her heart for her actions against the young warrior Hinata loved, and quite frankly, it had bothered the Hyuga girl very much. So much, in fact, that Hinata had more than once sent the weak girl to the hospital when the large forehead woman spoke hateful words about Naruto when the Hyuga heiress was in earshot. While it had been satisfying the first 5 times, it was now a nuisance that Hinata wished she could end right now with a simple gentle fist shot to the back of Sakura's skull. Realigning her thoughts, Hinata refocused fully on the spar with her cousin Niji, with her father and little sister Hanabi watching, seeing the two go at it. Hanabi was not arrogant when it came to her big sister, and had always suspected that Hinata had always held back when it came to their sparring sessions out of her love for her. Hanabi knew that due to Hyuga clan laws that in time an heiress would officially become the rightful leader of the clan, with his sibling being marked with the cage bird seal. Hanabi feared that seal above all things, growing up having been raised as a main family member being served by the branch members of the clan. She had never used the seal on a branch member like her sister, and for that she knew that the branch family was forever grateful to them in that matter. But more to Hinata herself, knowing how she despised the seal as the divided family, like shattering a mirror. Hayashi was in full agreement with his children, as he had very rarely used the seal himself other than the one time he used it on his own brother. Something he felt compelled to do during that one time he spared with his oldest daughter when she was still a little girl. The man had also removed his fears of Kyumo from his mind, having read reports of their not-so-honorable council being executed by their rakeage. Having read information given that was to him one night by an anonymous source, Hayashi now understood why things had played out as they did with the Kyumo ambassador, and had showed it to Niji as well. The justice that had long been denied the Hyuga prodigy for his father's death had happened thanks to the 5 Shinigami shadows. The news had strengthened the family bonds between both the main and branch sides of the Hyuga clan, but there were still cracks to mend due to the Hyuga clan elders still wishing to keep the traditions of the Hyuga clan. They still refused his words in wanting to remove the seal from the branch families regardless of the new information that came to them about that incident. Those fools can't understand that to survive we need to change with the times when it is necessary, and now is the time to change. Thought Hayashi, seeing Hinata dodge and attack with amazing grace equaled only to her late mother before maneuvering around Niji and delivering the strike needed to end the spar. Hinata had surprised her father with her skills and showed him that she was more like her mother than Hayashi even knew. With her own gentle fist training, Hinata focused on medical jutsus, knowing that gentle fist mixed with the chakra scalpel's jutsu would be a powerful combination. Regardless of a hit or miss concerning a chakra point, and the enemy would still be crippled by the attacks delivered, thus made it a formidable skill to have. Her medical creams had gotten Tsunade's attention, as well, seeing the young girl as a good apprentice in terms of training to be her successor as a Sannin and medical ninja. You both did very well, and I am proud of each of you. Hinata is just like her mother, and Niji is his father's son in terms of prodigal greatness. You two are a perfect reflection of the Hyuga clan's strength, and as such will be the proxy in which those like yourselves and others within the clan for generations to come can learn from, said Hayashi with pride clear in his voice as he spoke to them. Hiyashi-sama, I have word from the council and the Hokage, said a branch family member, who approached them, bowed, and then walked up the clan head. Oh, about what? Said Hayashi, frowning at what news would be brought to his attention. We have just received word that the Shinigami shadows have arrived in Konoha a few hours ago, and now it seems the leader is on his way here, riding on a horse. He will be here in Konoha any minute, and you are requested to be at the council meeting with the Hokage to assist in potential negotiations, said the branch family member, keeping his eyes squarely on Hayashi, who nodded in understanding. Hayashi knew what the council wanted. They wanted him to use his Byakugan to look past the masks the Shinigami shadows wore, to determine their identities in hopes of possibly blackmailing the group in a service rather than paying them. It wasn't the first time this had happened either, as groups of ANBU from other villages, when in such meetings, had been secretly subjugated to the same thing during the days of the Sandaime, to coax more information out of the foreign shinobi. Unlike the other times though, Hayashi doubted it would work here with this group and their leader. I will be at the meeting at once, said Hayashi, who saw the man bow before leaving. Father, I need to go too. As the Hokage's apprentice and possibly future clan head, I will need to learn first-hand experience in these matters, said Hinata, who was happy as a kid in a candy store at being able to see Naruto again. "I will go, as well as both the bodyguard for the current clan head and future clan head," said Neji, not wanting to endanger his cousin any more than was necessary. "That will not be necessary, Neji. At the moment, I need you to help train Hanabi, since it is her time for training right now," said Hayashi, seeing his nephew trying to fulfill his duty to the Hyuga clan willingly rather than forced, with the usual potential threat of the cage bird seal being used if he didn't, like the elders always did when they ever if rarely went outside of the Hyuga compound. "Konoha gates. Man, why do we get guard duty today?" "This sucks," said a Chunin, watching lazily for any possible threats to the leaf. "Shut up, man. If the Hokage hears you, she'll put you in the hospital and then make your life miserable when she comes in to heal you," said another Chunin with on the side of his cheek with a cig in his mouth. "You're probably right about that. Well, another thing I don't get is how come we're all on high alert because of the Shinigami King? I mean, what's so special about this guy anyway that's got everyone so scared out of their minds?" said the lazy Chunin, leaning back against the wall. "Are you serious? This guy and his group took out Akatsuki. All 9 S-class, missing Nin with skills that rival, if not surpass, a Kage, were all killed or broken because of the Shinigami King. You saw Uchiha Itachi and Hashigaki Kisame a year ago, right?" "He did that," said the Chunin with the cig and is looking at his friend in disbelief. Before any further words could be spoke, the two shinobi heard the sound of hooves in the distance coming from a horse galloping towards them in the distance. Turning their attention towards the sound of the horse's feet, they saw a figure riding the great steed wearing nothing but black from top to bottom. As the rider got closer, they noticed the horse itself was not normal either, but rather demonic, looking with a skull like covering over its face, armor covering its front area from chest to legs, and red demon-like eyes that held no sense of soul that one would find in a normal horse. "Holy shit," said one of the two Chunin as both went diving to get out of the way of the rider that went past them at blazing speed. Konoha streets. People got the hell out of the mysterious rider's way as his steed kept going full speed and didn't once stop for anyone that was too stupid to be in his path. Fortunately, those that did were spared, if just barely, with the horse leaping over or moving around them. On the rooftops above, 4 shadows moved with 2 on either side of the rider, heading to the Hokage's tower. "When he gets in range, you take him out and bring his body to me, Sai," said Danzo on the shinobi radio frequency originally used for Root Anbu. "Yes, Danzo-sama," said Sai, readying his crossbow on his wrist, waiting for the man of legend to get in his line of sight from his position. When Sai did get the man in his crosshairs, he let out a single shot, knowing that was he needed, and waited for the arrow to hit its target. At the time of the firing of the arrow, the rider was just a short moment away from the steps of the tower, with the Hokage and the council waiting for the Shinigami King to arrive. Just as the arrow was about to hit, the figure grabbed the arrow with his left hand, and the horse reeled back, giving off a loud horse-like screech. The figure's black cape swirled around him, and his form on top of the horse seemed to stun everyone that had seen that single act in grabbing the arrow with an almost unnatural grace. The figure stared at the Hokage, the council, Hayashi, and Hinata with no emotion as he squeezed the arrow with his fist and made it snap in his grip. His eyes stared at them all, his gaze piercing their very souls, seeing both guilty and innocent staring at him as if he were a god himself. And in a single motion, his eyes turned to the direction the arrow was shot from, as if that were the place of importance. "Shinigami King of the 5 Shinigami Shadows, I am," said Tsunade, trying to start this open meeting in a professional manner, only for her said guest to turn his fist into a palm to silence her as he stared at the direction of the arrow shot at him. The faint sound of metal meeting flesh was heard faintly in the distance before he turned back to them with that same slow and graceful motion he was known for. His dark horse seemed calm enough, though the eyes of the great animal seemed to hold no love in it for anything except its current rider. "Is shooting at someone you wish to hire some kind tradition in Konoha?" said Naruto, as he fully well knew the answer, but wondered how they would respond. "No, Shinigami King, I am truly sorry for what happened. Clearly someone doesn't want you to meet with us," said Tsunade, wishing she could strangle Danzo right now, knowing it was him that sent the assassin to kill this warrior before her. "Yes, clearly," said Naruto, snapping his fingers, making 3 of the other 4 members appear kneeling behind him. I understood there were 5 Shinigami shadows, said Tsunade, curiously wondering where the 5th member was. Seconds later, a large Zanbato sword was now piercing the ground in between Naruto and Tsunade, with a dead root Ambu mask wearing shinobi in the middle of the blade. The dead shinobi had a crossbow launcher on his right arm at the wrist, fully loaded and ready to fire at any given time. It would appear Ghost found my would-be assassin, said Naruto, looking at the corpse with no emotion in his voice before prying the mask off the dead man, revealing his face. You just killed a Konoha ANBU, said Danzo, knowing this was his chance to have the man and his team arrested for potential dissection, even at the cost of his own son's life. You will be arrested for this insult assassination or not, said Hamura, despite the fact that Konoha was at fault, though he and the council would rather die than admit that. Actually, from the looks of this mask, it would appear that this one is part of something called root, said Naruto, showing the mask with the kanji for root on it to Tsunade, who glared at Danzo, knowing the man should not have even a shred of root ANBU at his disposal. Root was disbanded by the order of the Sandaime Hokage many years ago, Shinigami King, and I assure you that there will be no punishment for this shinobi's death, said Tsunade, seeing the look of outrage from the council, and gestured they all go inside to discuss things further. Call me if you would. Shinigami King is too long a title for me when it comes to long talks with various people of high status, said Naruto, smiling to himself, wondering what would happen when they all figured out his identity with the exception of Hinata. Of course, Insama, said Tsunade, finding it was easier for her as well since what he said was correct when it came to his name. As the two groups walked to the Hokage Tower meeting room, many around them backed away or bowed their heads towards the Shinigami shadows, and the group couldn't help but let out a laugh as if someone told a joke. It made Tsunade, the council, Hayashi, and Hinata turning their heads in their direction, wondering why they were laughing and what they were laughing at. I'm sorry, Insama, I'm afraid I missed the joke, said Tsunade as they entered the room in question, before they all took a seat in their given chairs. It's an inside joke, Hokage-sama, so I don't expect anyone other than us to understand the meaning behind our laughter, said Naruto as he and his team let out yet another chuckle, much to the council's displeasure. We are here to sign an agreement between you and Konoha to serve under us officially as shinobi, but without leaf headbands since you choose not to ally yourselves with any shinobi village, said Hamura, as an AMBU came in and handed them all contracts that when signed would make them warriors of the Leaf Village. I hope you don't mind if we read the fine print, said Zabuza gruffly, not wanting to be tricked into anything after what happened with Gato back in Wave Country. Not at all, please do, said Tsunade, seeing some of the council members tense, as they had hoped the group would simply sign it and leave it at that. After looking over this contract extensively, we, the Shinigami 5, find this contract to be as solid as water, and therefore will not sign it, said Naruto after nearly 10 minutes before throwing the pile of papers across the table at Tsunade, stopping within arm's reach of her as she picked it up. What's wrong with the contract? Said Tsunade, looking down at the stack of papers that she herself had approved of. Check page 5 if you will. Halfway down, Hokage-sama, said Haku, not liking the term set for them if they had signed it. Let's see page 5, about halfway. What? All members of the Shinigami 5 will be forced to sire at least one child for Konoha to train and call their own, while if leaving the village, the parent, who is the member of the Shinigami Shadows, will leave various scrolls of all their skills, knowledge of their abilities, and half of their individual wealth to the child or children. All finances that are acquired will be placed under the oversight of the council to do with as they see fit based on the best interest of the said child or children accordingly to what the council believes will be in the best interest of each said child or children. Who put this crap in the contract? Said Tsunade, as she glared directly at both Hamura, Koharu, and Danzo, knowing it was all of them, since they first tried to sneak that into the contract early, only to be spotted by Shizen when reading from the large stack of papers that were the original documents. Only the last time the stipulation was on page 8. If we were going to let them work for Konoha, then they should give in to some of our own demands as well as obey our laws, said Danzo, scowling at Tsunade, and then at Ann, as he called himself. Just as the people of the village should have obeyed the S-class law that the Sandaime made concerning Uzumaki Naruto, or that the boy himself should be seen as a hero for holding the most power of all the 9-tailed demon lords. Tell me, Hamura, Koharu, and Danzo, how does it feel knowing that when you die you will go straight to hell? To know that when you enter hell there will be demons of all shapes and sizes ready to give you a most proper greeting, said Naruto, smiling as he saw the old man and one woman sputter in rage at his words. You have some nerve talking to us like that, and at least we do not hide behind masks like the cowards your group no doubt are, said Hamura, glaring at Naruto hatefully. Do you want to see what I look like without this simple cloth blocking my face? All you had to do was ask. Politely, said Naruto, chuckling while his group seemed to be shifting around slightly, as if they were unsure of this being a good idea. Then we demand they do as well, said Koharu, who received a heavy amount of killer intent from the other four. But Naruto put up his hand to make them stop. First, you cannot demand anything from them. Second, they answer only to me, and if they wish, they can keep their identities a secret. That is fine since it's their choice. Third, I suggest you weak council members watch your mouth, or my group here will remove you from this world. Fourth, if you ever, and I mean ever, try to demand anything of my team in such a disrespectful way again, we will hunt you all down after we have killed every single member of your family. Do we understand each other? Said Naruto, rising from his seat, put his hands on the large meeting table, and with his eyes blazing with fury, he unleashed an incredible amount of killing intent, telling them he would not back down to the likes of them. Ever. Why, yes. Yes, said Koharu, breathing heavily, as the council nearly felt as if their hearts had stopped for a full minute. Good. Now, as for my real identity. Well, remember the inside joke I mentioned before that none of you got? This is the joke, said Naruto, pulling down the black cloth, grinning at the shocked council and Tsunade, who could not believe it was the one person they never thought would be in Konoha again. You! Filthy demon scum, like you don't deserve to be here, much less in this world, said Danzo, glaring hatefully at the young man before him, hating the fox-like grin that Naruto was sporting. If you have the courage to insult me, Danzo team, then surely you have the courage to attack me as well. Or do you need to send your little root ANBU to do it for you since you were too much of a coward to do it yourself? Said Naruto, leering at the man with his demonic eyes, making the council sweat under his gaze. Get out of Konoha now, and maybe we won't send every shinobi and willing villager after you, said Hamura, glaring angrily at Naruto, knowing that when word got out just who was the leader of the Shinigami Five to the people, it would cause the support they needed to remove Tsunade from office with someone under their control. I know this might sound slightly childish and mostly cliche, but why don't you make me, said Naruto, gesturing for the council member to step forward and take the shot that so many had wanted for so long. Enough! You idiots can't do anything to Naruto on account of the protection order that was given by the Fire Daimyo himself. Other than the fact that Naruto has the backing of our allies, the Wind Daimyo and the Lightning Daimyo, doing anything to him would be suicide right before we go to war with IWA and Sound, said Tsunade, glaring at all the members of the council, who mentally swore at being unable to harm the demon. Then we demand that the members of his group be put under arrest and executed since no such protection order exists for them, said Danzo, smirking in the belief that he could get to the demon through his comrades. Actually, that was the affair I mentioned to Tsunade's search team during the end of our conversation with them. I spoke to the Fire Daimyo about such a possibility happening, and he agreed that such a protection order was given to my team as well, forbidding any and all harm to befall them at the hands of shinobi or civilian of any kind, said Naruto, holding out a copy of the order with the Fire Daimyo seal on bottom right, making it an official document. Seeing as how the contract was tainted and it's getting late, I will speak to the Shinigami Five privately with Shizen along with Jiraiya tomorrow at a later time. This meeting is now over, said Tsunade, officially ending the meeting much to the council's protest. With that said, the group left with Tsunade, Hayashi, and Hinata following right after them, knowing that there was much to talk about without the prying eyes of the council. Elsewhere in Konoha, Kakashi hated his life ever since Tsunade demoted him to Chunin, finding that the rank consisted of doing mostly guard duty or possibly teaching at the academy. Granted, there were a few missions that were more than qualified in terms of the Cyclops Jounin, but the problem was that Tsunade refused to let take any of them. Instead, she stuck him mostly with guard duty or as a substitute for academy teachers that got sick with the flu. Sakura had been given the same treatment, but was directed more heavily in teaching at the academy than guard duty because she was still so weak by current shinobi rank. It would be so easy for enemy shinobi to tear through her and sneak in like so many had already attempted to. Just like Sakura, whenever Kakashi did teach at the Ninja Academy, the students were merciless with their pranks on him and would constantly ask him questions about Naruto. Was he really a demon? Would he come back to kill them all? Why did the village treat him badly in the first place when all it would do is cause the boy to hate them? Why was it that the demon was always loyal, yet the prodigal Uchiha Sasuke that everyone loved was not? Kakashi hated those questions because it reminded him of how he let down his sensei and comrades with the rules he claimed to live by. Now he was on his way to see the Hokage for a potential mission that was not a D-rank mission like all the ones Tsunade made him do to work off the laziness in his system. He stopped when he saw a demonized horse standing outside of the tower and remembered that Tsunade was expecting the Shinigami King today with his group. Maybe if Kakashi were to challenge the leader to a friendly spar, he could gain favor with the Hokage. Then she would finally agree to promote him back to Jounin again. Hokage's office. Well played, Naruto-sama, said Hayashi, smirking at the man for his genius, and saw just how much of his human father was in Naruto. Thank you very much, Hayashi-sama. I've spent a lot of time trying to honor my old man of a demon lord by using the cunning intellect of a fox that he gave me, said Naruto, bowing his head slightly, not seeing Tsunade cringe at that. I know Naruto has Sarutobi-sensei's journal, and it holds who his birth parents are, and the fact he calls Kyuubi his father means he had no love for them, thought Tsunade, as she wished she had stayed to help the boy in his time of need when he was still a child growing up. Naruto-kun, said Hinata, rushing to him and giving him a big hug and kiss as she was unable to hide her emotions anymore. I am sorry, Hinata-san. I made you wait during that whole meeting just to be with me, said Naruto, ignoring the shocked and angry looks from the council members and the calm one on Hayashi's face at this unexpected outburst of affection towards young man. It's all right, Naruto-kun. You told me in advance when I was on that mission in Wave Country a year ago. I heard the stories of other S-class missing ninja trying to resurrect Akatsuki to take over the world, but you and the other Shinigami shadows stopped them all, said Hinata, smiling and enjoying the feel of the embrace they were now feeling from one another. You and I have much to talk about, Naruto, said Tsunade, glaring at the boy as she now fought back the urge to slug him for not being in contact with him for 3 years. Why? So you can try to boss me around afterwards and tell me to never leave the very village that hates me? No thanks, old hag. I rather prefer to keep my freedom than be held down by your need to smother me with your protection when you couldn't do it from the very beginning from the council. All that has ever done is cripple me, and I don't like to be crippled by anything that of that magnitude, said Naruto, looking at the woman, who felt partially guilty knowing that she would have prevented him from reaching his true potential out of fear of losing him, and that her lack of it when it mattered most didn't come in his hour of need. Hey, Naruto, said Jiraiya, appearing in the window, grinning his casual grin that at first glance made you want to punch the man into next week. If isn't the most perverted man on the planet, who gets beat up more times by women than he does getting any action. How are you, Ero Sennin? Said Naruto, making the man faceplant at the nickname and insult. Damn it, stop calling me that. You're lucky I still have to teach you everything about sealing and your father's jutsus, or else I would leave you with nothing, said Jiraiya in a smug-like manner, not seeing Naruto slowly let go of a now worried Hinata. Did not see the other for shadows block off Tsunade, Hayashi, or Shizen, and he certainly did not see Naruto grab his throat before slamming him into the nearby wall. First, I know all about sealing from the very best, that is my demon father, since demons were the very first to do it before passing it down to humans, who later became arrogant and power-hungry people. Second, I know my father's jutsus due to them being in the Namikaze compound, since I've secretly been there learning from the library from time to time, sending several of my shadow clones in the house to do it. Third, I could care less about that asshole father of a human that was my biological parent, since he was stupid enough to trust the village in carrying out his dying wish. As for my mother, I know she would have continued to love me had she not died right after bringing me into this world, so I won't hate her for something that was not her fault, said Naruto before letting go of the super pervert before turning to face the others, but with a calmer look in his eyes. Oh, Naruto-kun, you were in so much pain at the hands of your father using you as a sacrifice I cannot begin to imagine, said Hinata, holding him once again with her ever-gentle touch. I have you to thank for making it go away, my sexy Heim, said Naruto, making Hinata blush a deep shade of red at his words. Now, why can't you be like that, Jiraiya? Said Tsunade, looking at Jiraiya, knowing that if the man put more romance than pervert into his ways with women, he might get more than just the usual fist to his face or the hordes of angry women beating the crap out of him. Well, when I meet a woman who doesn't hit me for every single remark that I make perverted or not, then I will, Until then, I just have you old flat chest, said Jiraiya, who grinning only to feel the immense killer intent from Tsunade. I told you never to kaye me that, yelled Tsunade as she proceeded to beat the crap out of Jiraiya, making the spectators watch with somewhat amusement. I must head back to the Hyuga compound to attend to my youngest daughter's training in Gentle Fist. But just so you know, Kyuubi Naruto, I approve of you dating my daughter. All of Hinata's strength comes from you as her inspiration, and I would be proud, Kami willing, to call you my son-in-law in the near future, said Hayashi, extending his hand, which Naruto took, which basically meant that Hinata was free to marry the Fox Prince if she wished. And I would be proud to call you my father-in-law Hayashi-sama, said Naruto before he let go and looked at a shocked Hinata, who bombarded him with kisses all over his face, while her father made a slightly hasty exit, not wanting to see his daughter making out, and kept the thought of having grandchildren soon suppressed in the back of his head. Now, if only Tsunade's fist would turn into her lips, I would be in business, said Jiraiya, trying to get up, only be kicked in the ass out of her office through her window. We'll draw up the new contract tomorrow, since I'm sure your friends would all like to see you again along with their Jounin senseis, said Tsunade, having dealt with Jiraiya and his perverseness and insulting her once small bust. Set it up with them, Granny. I have to visit some other people that need my attention, said Naruto, walking with Hinata and his group out of her office. Who do you think he's going to see, Tsunade-sama? Said Shizen, ignoring the red tick mark on the Hokage's head for being called Granny by Naruto. I don't know, Shizen, and I don't care as long as he doesn't cause problems that I can't fix, said Tsunade, sitting down at her desk only to see a note on it. If you want to get paperwork done faster, why not use the Shadow Clone Jutsu? Seriously, how you and the old man never realized that is beyond me. Must be an old person thing. Naruto, P.S. I'm not going to stop making fun of you for being old. Same thing goes for Jiraiya being perverted, so just be glad I don't shout it out to the world, because let's face it, I could and can. Ah, damn that boy and his genius mind, said Tsunade, as she had steam coming out of her ears at the note Naruto left. But all the same, this would give her a chance to do paperwork faster and have more time to drink sake when she wanted it. Tsunade could finally have her sake and drink it too. Uchiha Estate. You know what's strange, Itachi? Said Kisame, grinning slightly, though it was a shadow of his old shark-like grin that made his enemies run away in fear. What, Kisame? Said Itachi, looking over at his former partner in crime when they were in Akatsuki. We've been here for a little over a year, and we're still alive. To be honest, I half expected that the damn kid would come after us and finish us off, or someone from Konoha doing it for them. I mean, we're not exactly liked, and here most of all since you're still considered a badass for wiping out your entire clan, said Kisame, placing a meal of scrambled eggs and some fresh tea for the Uchiha to eat, having to be the cook between the two due to Itachi being blind. Almost the entire clan Kisame, since my little brother Sasuke is still alive, and if you were wondering if I have any regrets, my answer is that I don't. The clan was weak, spoiled by the wonders of the Sharingan, not bothering to fully understand the arrogance that came with the power of our bloodline. The only one I do regret killing was Mother, as she was a kind soul, but in my madness I had killed her, and when Sasuke came in I wondered if he was even worth killing. When I saw him trembling in fear of me, I knew Sasuke was not fit to be an Uchiha, much less a shinobi of potential promise among the clan. Whatever genetics were in Sasuke, they were second-rate at best, and too weak to be noticed at the very worst, said Itachi, finding his utensils, and started eating his meal, finding each day was getting easier as time went on with his blindness. Yeah, speaking of that runt you call a brother, why hasn't he come to kill you like he's always wanted? Always saying, I have to kill Itachi this, and Itachi must die that. I mean, if I were him, I'd say screw, find a nice girl, and have kids, yet your brother just wants so. One tract, said Kisame, sitting down with his own meal of cooked fish. He never could see things from a wide perspective and only focused on a single narrow road. I think Sasuke now wants to kill the person who successfully crippled me so easily, if I understand my brother's mind the way it is, said Itachi, sighing as he ate his food. Another thing I wanted to ask you, and it's about your eyes when he took them from you. Does this change your perspective on things? I mean, it's been a year, and you seem to be more at peace than when we were with Akatsuki all the time. Before you had this calm hate in you, like you could hate the world so easily, and now you are all well. Calm like a monk, said Kisame, wondering what was going on inside that Uchiha's head. I have had a year to reflect upon myself, Kisame, and I feel at peace because of lack of pressure I was under from the start. When Uchiha Madara first approached and trained me in the Sharingan, I felt so much hate within me for my clan for making me the prodigy that everyone knew I was. Everyone was always watching me, and every move I made as a shinobi when I was going out on missions or in public, knowing that it could make or break me in their judging eyes. They felt they had the right to judge me when they didn't even have the right at all. I wanted to show them I was strong, and yet at the same time I wanted it to show that I didn't care what people thought of me. When Naruto took my eyes from me and all I saw was darkness, I knew I had not only been freed of my hate, but I was freed from those judging eyes now that I could no longer see them. I'm calm, Kisame, because I am free of the things that made feel hatred in the beginning of my life, said Itachi, smiling a little at the thought of being freed from all expectations from those around him. That's good to hear, Itachi. Had you not found some measure of peace, I would have been forced to slay had you fallen into madness because of what I did, said Naruto, appearing behind the blind Uchiha. Holy shit, the Shinigami King is here, said Kisame, getting up from his chair, ignoring the pain in his leg from doing so, and got on his knees, bowing to the man with his head touching the floor. It is good to see you again, Naruto-sama, said Itachi, not moving from his spot, since he was of course blind and couldn't exactly address the man as he should have. Likewise, Itachi. I see you are much better at being blind after a solid year of practice at it, said Naruto, standing near the table while still close to Itachi. Thank you, Naruto-sama. I can only assume this is not a personal call, said Itachi, who continued to eat his meal since he could do nothing else. No, I was wondering if you were considering reviving the Uchiha clan, said Naruto, making Kisame stiffen, and even Itachi gasped slightly at this news. I'm surprised you would suggest that, considering how evil the clan is, and that allowing us to survive would mean should another Uchiha Madara arise, said Itachi, knowing that if there was the world would suffer for it. You are correct. However, I would think one such as you would make sure that all past mistakes from your clan concerning Madara would not be repeated, such as the complete destruction of the information concerning how the final strange of the Sharingan can be obtained and everything else concerning the Sharingan eyes, said Naruto before turning to Kisame and commanding him to get off the ground. I think it would be much safer if the clan were to simply be removed from all existence, said Itachi, in all honesty, since he believed that nothing good would ever come from the revival, much less the continuation of his clan. If that is what you truly believe, Itachi, then I will see to it that the clan dies with you, said Naruto, turning and walking out of the room with Kisame, looking at Itachi with disbelief. You turned down the chance to revive your clan with the man's blessing. Why? Said Kisame, looking at his old partner in crime with a look that said WTF just happened on his face. Some things are better left dead and forgotten in the sands of time, Kisame. My clan will be one of them, said Itachi, going back to his meal in peace while Kisame stared at him for a moment before going back to his. Outside the Uchiha estate. So what was his response? Said Zabuza, wondering how the former Akatsuki member responded to the offer. He turned it down. It was not unexpected. The Itachi I spoke to in there is different than the one we all saw a year ago. I told him I would let the Uchiha clan die with him. So the only thing left to do now is to kill Uchiha Sasuke and Orochimaru, said Naruto before he turned to Hinata, who seemed slightly depressed at hearing shinobi work since she wanted to spend time with Naruto. When are we going to do that, King-sama? Said Yujito, seeing her leader walk up to Hinata and stroke her face lovingly. Not for a while, or at least not until after the contract is signed, and even then it won't be for at least a few weeks before the order is given. For now, consider your time in Konoha a little break that has been long overdue for all of your loyal service and dedication to helping me rid the world of an evil that had to be removed, said Naruto, now smiling at Hinata, who enjoyed every minute of the man's affection directed entire towards her. I suggest you remove your hand from the Hyuga woman Shinigami King unless you want me to remove it from you, said Kakashi on the roof of one of the buildings in the Uchiha district. Your voice sounds very familiar, Shinobi of the Leaf. Why do you sound so familiar? No, it couldn't be him. The man is a late, lazy, and favoritism-showing man who thinks it is better to teach geniuses rather than hard-working people, said Naruto, knowing exactly who was on the roof, and was glad the man couldn't see his face since the shinobi was looking at his cape-covered back. Pataki Kakashi. Well, it seems the fates above have conspired for me and Haku to meet you again, yet preventing you from even knowing it. Oh, this will be fun indeed. thought Zabuza, now grinning beneath his metal mask with his eyes beyond his hood, looking at the Cyclops Jounin with a look of a predator finding prey worthy of his claw and teeth. Hatake Kakashi, you were never worthy of having Naruto-sama being your student, and before our time in Konoha is done, you will come to that revelation as well. Though I do wonder, will you kill yourself like your father did? Or will you succumb to madness and live within your own hell until you die of old age? Thought Haku, flexing his hand, and felt the phantom pain from the Chidori he took for Zabuza. Of course Haku would do it again without question, but the pain still sucked. I won't tell you again. Remove Hinata-sama from your being, or I will remove you from this world, said Kakashi, having followed the group ever since they had left the Hokage Tower. We are here at the request of your Hokage for helping Konoha Hatake-san. If you wish to engage us in battle, we will be forced to defend ourselves. Hinata-sama is our guide and can choose to leave anytime she wishes, said Naruto, giving Hinata a quick wink, making the girl cling to him more to hide her blush from the scarecrow. I highly doubt that, said Kakashi, gearing up to use his Rikiri on Naruto. He was stopped when two ice pick-sized knives made of bone were pressed against either side of his neck by Kimimaro, who felt the need to defuse the situation as fast as possible. Believe what you want, Hatake-san, but King-sama does not lie. If you still don't believe him, then go ask Hayashi-sama or Tsunade-sama herself, as they will tell you what we have just now, said Kimimaro, eyeing the man carefully. While we do appreciate you looking out for one of Konoha's own, Hatake-san, I believe Hinata-sama is in far better hands with us than she is with you, said Naruto, now turning to face Kakashi with his black cloth covering the lower half of his face once more. I suppose I have no choice now, do I? Said Kakashi, removing his hands from the stance needed to make the Rikiri before Kimimaro removed the 2 points from the Chunin's neck. If you are so intent on trying to hurt me, Hatake-san, then I suppose we could do this in another manner, said Naruto, his eyes flashing a dangerous red that reminded Kakashi of the Kyuubi. A one-on-one match, said Kakashi, suspiciously gauging the man carefully. Yes. Tomorrow, noon, and at Konoha Stadium, where the Chunin exams are held, will be the appropriate setting for this. That way everyone in Konoha will be able to see and enjoy the fight. Agreed, said Naruto, while Kakashi pondered it for a moment to give it some serious thought. You have yourself a match. I will need to speak to the Hokage to make this official for tomorrow, but I assure you I will defeat regardless of my current rank, said Kakashi, as he left in a poof of smoke. Fool, said Yujito, knowing that the man was going to get his pre-verbal ass handed to him. Be nice, Helsen, we're guests here, remember, said Naruto, smiling at her before picking up Hinata bridal style, make her squeak at the sudden move. And Naruto-kun, said Hinata, blushing further red, wondering what he had planned for her now that he was back. In the back of her mind, Hinata's inner self was calling for a pre-marriage honeymoon. Do you want a tour of the Namikaze estates, my Heim? Said Naruto, emphasizing tour for a reason that made Hinata nod her head fast with her mind spinning, not trusting her mouth to speak. I think we better stay away from the place for a few hours, said Yujito, seeing Naruto dash off at high speed, hearing the brief squeal of joy and surprise from Hinata. I can't tell who is luckier from the two, said Zabuza, knowing that Hyuga girl looked incredible and that those two were lucky to have each other considering the uniqueness of the circumstances that brought them together in the first place. Let's call it a tie, said Haku, deciding to break the thought process as he thought of a certain girl at the ramen stand and decided to pay her a visit in civilian clothing, leaving the others to their own devices. Shall we go out and paint the village red, Hel-chan? Said Zabuza, bowing towards the woman, who was blushing behind her mask. I would love that, Ghost-kun, thank you, said Yujito, leaving with the former swordsman, having formed a relationship with the man not long after being in Naruto's service. I too will look amongst the populace of the people of Konoha, and hopefully I can find a female companion for myself to enjoy being with. I don't why, but I felt my heart race near that Inuzuka woman and that purple-haired one with the revealing skirt with fishnet shirt, said Kimimaro before he too left in search of those women. It wasn't long before word quickly spread throughout Konoha about a contest of skills between the ever-mysterious Shinigami King and Hatake Kakashi. Many wondered who would win, since both competitors were legendary in the shinobi world and were both considered quite deadly. Many had favored Kakashi to win since he was the hometown favorite, the student of the Yondaime, the son of the White Fang, and possessed the last remaining Sharingan eye in Konoha. However, a few still worried about the Shinigami King being the victor, as not even the great Hatake Kakashi could have defeated S-Class, missing Nin from Akatsuki. No one knew much about him, except that he and his group decimated the organization. The man himself was responsible for the crippling of Uchiha Itachi. Everyone who fought either never lived to tell about it, or were so crippled that they could never speak the words to describe it. Now it was the day of the fight, and while the people were getting ready for the event, they debated on about. One Kyuubi Naruto was currently in the master bedroom staring at the ceiling of his home, with one Hyuga Hinata next to him, naked. He didn't need his fox sense of smell to tell Hinata wanted to make love to him badly, and since they already had Hayashi's blessing, they figured what a way to celebrate his return to Konoha and back to the love of his life. He heard and felt Hinata purr slightly as she moved her head deeper into the crook of his neck while her body tried to mold itself onto Naruto's body. The once shy girl that used to faint around him now had claw-like hands, making her gentle fist even deadlier. She had silvery white fox ears. Her long, deep blue hair now had a pure sliver lightning streak running down the entire length of it, and her stamina had increased several times over. The last difference Naruto could attest to personally. "Hinata-chan, would you like some breakfast?" said Naruto, as he whispered in her ear in a sensual way, making the girl moan at the mere sound of it. "No breakfast. Just Naruto-kun would be nice, thank you," said Hinata, purring more, as Naruto began to massage her ears, knowing it was her weak spot when it came to making her feel good. "If you get up now, you can have both," said Naruto before kissing her neck and jawline, making the woman moan as she raked her clawed hands over his chest, leaving red lines along it. "Both, you say?" said Hinata, waking up seeing the grin on her lover's face before the two of them went into a full making-out session for a solid hour. "Konoha streets. So what do you think of this fight that's going to happen today?" said Tenten to Niji and Lee, who were quite interested in the matchup. "Yash, I believe Itachi-san has lost the flames of youth and therefore will lose to the Shinigami King," said Lee before nodding his head, as if what he said was 100% correct. "I have never seen Itachi-san go all out before, so I cannot measure his skills until I have seen him do so. However, the Shinigami King is not weak by any means, and he was the one who made 2 S-class missing Nin come to Konoha for sanctuary," said Niji, not wanting to make a guess at anything just yet until he saw the fighters themselves in midst of battle. "Do you think the Shinigami King will use that long nodachi he has on his back? They say he's quite the swordsman," said Tenten, hoping she would see the man use the sword in the fight and see what kind of style he uses. "I wonder what kind of taijutsu the Shinigami King uses and how it compares to my own form of fighting," said Lee, as his curiosity was making him more anxious to see the big match. "Hey, you guys," said Ino, with Shikamaru and Choji behind her looking lazy or eating something as they walked. "Hey Ino, how's it going?" said Tenten, looking at her fellow Jounin shinobi, who was once a major Sasuke fangirl like Sakura still was. "Oh, the usual stuff, but I'm really excited about this match that's going to happen later today against Kakashi and the Shinigami King," said Ino, as she had seen several betting areas popping up with many betting on Kakashi winning, since he was considered a proud veteran of a shinobi despite his demotion from Jounin to Chunin all those years back when Naruto had left the village just to stay alive. "Do you think Naruto-san is alive and well?" said Lee, sensing what everyone else was, since it had nearly been 6 years since that day when Naruto left to avoid being executed because of what he held. Naruto has never been one to quit Lee. "I suspect that wherever he is happy, and to take him away from that happiness would be wrong," said Niji, hoping that Naruto was indeed happy where he was and that the blonde would come back to make Hinata happy again. "I heard from my dad that the council seems pretty upset about the Shinigami King and the other shadows of the group. They won't say what or even why, but whatever it is, it's something too troublesome for my taste," said Shikamaru, only to have his head bashed by Ino since everything around him was troublesome in his eyes. "Typical Shikamaru," thought Choji before opening a fresh bag of chips and commenced his eating food once again. Hokage's tower, 2 hours later. "So we're in agreement?" said Tsunade, wondering where Naruto got his negotiation skills from so she could learn them too. She felt like she was making a deal with the devil, literally. "Indeed. It was a pleasure doing business with you. And remember, the council cannot under any circumstance void or change the agreements of the contract in any way," said Naruto, knowing that if those old bastards and bitch knew of even half his demands, they would send every loyal shinobi after him. "Of course. Since you have the support of the Fire Daimyo, I don't think any of them are going to put up much of a fight with what we agreed upon. It's the villagers' response to this that worries me, since I don't want a full-blown riot on my hands, said Tsunade, since the people would protest some of the demands made in terms of the contract. Spoiled brats that need a good foot in ass to set them straight. They've become arrogant and full of themselves, thinking that someone will save them from certain doom. If they don't get a reality check now, then Konoha your grandfather founded will be lost forever to narrow-minded stupidity, said Naruto, knowing that the last thing Tsunade wanted was for the village her family built to be destroyed by her. That won't happen. I'll make sure of it, said Tsunade before looking at the clock on the wall, seeing in less than an hour it would be time for the major fight between Naruto and Kakashi. Good. See you at the fight, said Naruto before covering the lower half of his face, and walked out with his team, waiting with Hinata and a hinge now beside him once more. Everything went well, said Hinata, knowing that it did, but still wanted to hear it from him. Naturally. Now when this fight starts, I want you to be with the Hokage, since you were her apprentice, and I don't want anyone getting any ideas about trying to harm you when I make a certain announcement concerning us, said Naruto, meaning him, Hinata, and the entire Shinigami Shadows. Man, Kakashi is going to wet himself when he sees you again, said Zabuza, letting out a deep chuckle, while Haku simply nodded behind his mask. All of Konoha is going to wet themselves when they find out who we are, Ghost, said Yujito, smirking at the thought of her identity being revealed, along with being a demon vessel, knowing it would terrify the populace with unbelievable fear. I want all of you beside Grandma Tsunade as her bodyguards for this event, and also to protect my mate from any potential harm the council may have in store for her. Once they see Hinata's features, once the hinge is removed, they will put 2 and 2 together concerning us. The special protection order from the Fire Daimyo doesn't cover her, and unfortunately, they may use that to get to me, and should that happen, I need you all to be her shield during the battle, said Naruto, knowing that Hinata could hold her own due to her newfound form, but he was not going to gamble with her life when it came to the odds. Understood, King-sama, said Kimimaro, as they were now out of the tower and the time for the fight was drawing close at hand. Be safe, said Hinata, trying not to worry about her love and mate knowing how strong he was. For you always, said Naruto, kissing her hand and motioned them to escort Hinata to the stadium. What do you have planned, son? Said Kyubi, looking at his son curiously in the boy's mindscape, wondering if he should get involved in the personal affairs of his child when there was nothing else to do. I'm going to remind Kakashi-sensei that you should never upset a demon vessel, much less a future demon lord, said Naruto in his mind as he walked towards the stadium, and his right hand was going through hand signs under his cloak. You're going to scare the holy hell out of him before you fight the man, said Kyubi, as it was more of a statement than a question, as the great fox grinned at the thought and loving every minute of it. Would I be worthy of being called your son if I wasn't? Said Naruto, raising an eyebrow at his father, who just chuckled at his son for his love for pranks. Make me proud, son, said Kyubi before he went back into his cage to sleep and enjoy the battle that was to come. Always, said Naruto, now standing outside the stadium, having completed the one-hand signs before slamming his palm onto the ground, creating a large poof of smoke. It was time to begin the terror to the Leaf Village. In the stadium, Kakashi waited patiently for his opponent to show up with Jiraiya as the referee for this match, though he could help but wonder why the other Shinigami Shadows were so close to the Hokage and her apprentice. Apparently, the council wondered as well, with Danzo asking the question, to which the one with the named sin of mankind responded saying, it was the will of the Shinigami King, before turning to face the arena. This had made the people wonder if the Shinigami King had his eyes set on the Hyuga heiress in terms of a political marriage that would keep the Shinigami Shadows in Konoha. Hayashi's face had revealed nothing when word of such a rumor reached his ears. But then again, it never did, despite the topic being his oldest daughter. Maybe the Shinigami King isn't all the talk everyone makes him out to be, thought a bored Hitaki Kakashi, reading his book calmly, looking at where the supposed leader of the Shinigami Shadows was supposed to arrive from time to time. So who do you think will win, Forehead Girl? Said Ino to Sakura, who was watching the fight somewhat bored and didn't see what a big deal was. Like it matter, Ino Pig. None of them are better than Sasuke-kun. When he comes back to the village to go after his brother, he'll declare his love for me, and I will be able to help him restore his clan, said Sakura, making Ino frown at that, since the Platinum Blonde had long lost her feeling of love for the Uchiha traitor and wanted nothing to do with any of them. Naruto would be disappointed in you, Sakura, and if Hinata finds out you still support the Uchiha traitor, then she'll send you to the hospital again, said Ino, having seen several of the attacks Hinata made on her friend for insulting Naruto so many times. Naruto was a baka, a loser, and he would always try to get between Sasuke-kun and me. I hope he's in a ditch somewhere dead or dying, said Sakura, looking quite upset at Ino for mentioning that. Well, I now know who else gets a personally reserved spot in hell along with the rest of the Uchiha clan, thought Ino before turning to Shikamaru, who was looking up at the clouds with a serious expression on his face. The clouds are getting darker. A dark storm is looming overhead, said Shikamaru, being the top cloud watcher of his team outside of his family. You're right. I wonder what this means for the fight, said Ino worriedly, since she had really wanted to see the match. It wasn't long before a heavy wind blew into the stadium, and the storm that Shikamaru had predicted had come forth with unnatural strength. Thunder and lightning rumbled above the people in the stadium, making them worried, with the exception being the ever-calm looking Shinigami shadows. Kimimaro had put a reassuring hand on Hinata, since she too felt a little frightened by the storm as it howled above her like a wild animal. Soon, a chorus of people was heard coming from the entrance where the Shinigami King was supposed to enter, and soon 2 columns of druids carrying torches emerged. With them was a leaf shinobi in a bloody, war-torn Jounin uniform, and had silver hair similar to Kakashi himself. It was Hatake Tsukumo, the White Fang. Holy shit, thought Tsunade, Jiraiya, and other shinobi or civilians that knew of the legendary Hatake Tsukumo. Kakashi dropped his book as he stared at his father in shock at seeing the man again and the condition of his mangled body that was still bleeding from performing seppuku. His face, though mostly covered, but if looked at carefully by a well-trained eye, could be seen scowling. And as the dead shinobi looked at Kakashi in that moment, he stopped just a few steps in front of the druids. Is this a trick? Is this man really my father? Thought Kakashi, not taking his one eye of the man, knowing that if he did, the man might not be there again. Damn you, boy. You're no son of mine, said Tsukumo, before turning to the side back to face the entrance with and showing more of his back to Kakashi, who was looking at his father in disbelief. How can he say that? What have I done to lose the love of my father? Thought Kakashi before he saw his father address the startled and frightened crowd. So without further ado, from depths of Demon World, I give you the Shinigami King, said Hatake Tsukumo with his right hand outstretched towards the dark void. Sure enough, just as the White Fang spoke the last 3 words, a gong went off. Deep, eerie music started playing, and deep, thick fog rolled towards Kakashi that seemed to cover the entire arena floor. Everyone was practically paralyzed with fear at the sheer sight of the Shinigami King now walking into the arena past the druids holding the torches. He soon stopped in front of Hatake Tsukumo, who kneeled before the man with his head bowed, touching the earth beneath him. You have done well, my servant, in announcing my introduction. You have pleased your master well, said Naruto, commanding Tsukumo to raise his head from the ground, but not the rest of him. I am honored, my master, said Tsukumo, closing his eyes as Naruto placed his right hand on the dead man's face. Leave my father alone, yelled Kakashi, and wished to do something to save his father, but found himself too paralyzed with fear to do anything except watch the drama unfold before him. Be quiet, you fool. Hatake Tsukumo, in light of your loyal service to me, I hereby release from my own, so you may enter the heavens above, said Naruto, before sending a pulse of demonic chakra into the dead man's body, making it collapse and turning it into brittle bones that soon turned to dust that scattered into the winds. What did you do to my father, you bastard? Said Kakashi before the druids behind the Shinigami King dispersed into the darkness in which they came from. I set him free after he killed himself. Hatake Tsukumo did not enter heaven or hell, but rather he went willingly into the depths of purgatory itself, and waited until the time came where he could finally prove himself worthy to someone in order to remove his shame. When I learned of this, I told him that when he performed any single task I asked of him, that should he complete it, I would release him from such shame and allow him to enter the heavens, said Naruto, which was true, having found out about the man's fate shortly after dealing with Uchiha Madara several years ago. It doesn't matter. You are an evil creature, and regardless, if you help my father, I will do everything in my power to kill you here today, said Kakashi, frowning at the warrior dressed in black before him, who seemed completely calm considering the threat. Still thinking of yourself, Kakashi? What would your father say? Oh, that's right, he no longer considers you his son. Such a pity, said Naruto, smiling a cruel smile behind his mask while he sensed more of his old sensei's killer intent rising fast at his words. "Shut up! Jiraiya, I'm gonna start the match. I want to kill this beast right now," said Kakashi, getting ready to raise his Sharingan, while the Shinigami King seemed to be as still as a statue. "All right, Hatake Kakashi vs. the Shinigami King. Ready? Begin!" said Jiraiya before running with everything he had away from the two. "Fire style, Dragon Flame Jutsu," said Kakashi, forgetting the Sharingan, and going right for an all-out attack since he wanted to try and catch the Shinigami King off guard. "If you were any slower, Kakashi, I might have suspected that you were part snail," said Naruto, moved with amazing speed and dodged the attack aimed at him by Kakashi, who went through another set of hand signs for a different jutsu. "Earth style, Mud Dragon Jutsu," said Kakashi, sending the dragon made of mud at his opponent only for the red-haired youth to backhand it away with a wave of demonic chakra. "I am a master of the elements, Hatake. Don't insult me with weak attacks. At least with the members of Akatsuki, they knew to take me and my group seriously when we fought them. You, on the other hand, fight like a second-rate Genin fresh out of the academy. So if you want me to reconsider such a thought, you will stop this weak strategy of yours and go all out in this match. The fact that you hold back on me is an insult," said Naruto, flexing his right hand before walking at a leisurely pace around Kakashi. "Be careful what you wish for," said Kakashi, revealing his Sharingan eye and charged at the Shinigami King, going in a full-blown taijutsu fight. "Whoa, I've never seen Kakashi move so fast before," said Asuma, having heard how the man's speed was indeed legendary, but found it hard to keep watching. "Yes, but the same could be said for the Shinigami King as well. He's matching Kakashi move for move, as if each move used was nothing to him," said Kurenai beside her lover, watching with her baby in her arms with the two shinobi going at it. "Is this all you have, Kakashi? Have your skills diminished along with your demotion in rank as Chunin?" said Naruto, grabbing Kakashi's right arm and twisting the appendage until a loud snap was heard. "The only reason I was demoted was because I favored the last Uchiha over the dead last at the academy. The boy was nothing compared to Sasuke, and because he was pitted upon by the Hokage, I was punished for doing what was right," said Kakashi, kneeing his opponent in the ribs, only to feel like he had just hit a mountain of jagged rocks. "For a genius, you certainly are stupid," said Naruto, before he unloading a series of kicks and punches to Kakashi at lightning speed that the Chunin Sharingan could not see. "Holy crap, this Shinigami King is for real. I can't see him move when he strikes, and from the way Kakashi is taking a beating, I doubt he does too," said Kiba to Shino, who nodded at seeing the brutality of match going against the son of the White Fan. "My bugs say he is familiar somehow, but they can't determine what it is," thought Shino, wincing behind his glass, as the Shinigami jumped and delivered a powerful spin kick to Kakashi's head, sending the Chunin flying. "Tell me, Hata, did you know that the Yondaime had a son?" said Naruto, walking towards the down man, who was now sporting a bleeding temple. "Impossible. If his son existed, I would have known, and I would have trained him to be just like him," said Kakashi, who was bleeding and bruised, yet went through one more set of hand signs for his signature jutsu that had always been the ace up his sleeve years past. "The Rikiri. Impossible? How is that? Was the man gay? Was he secretly a she? How is impossible, Hatake-san?" said Naruto, stopping some 15 feet away from the Chunin. "Shut up. Whatever you're trying to say to me won't stop me from sending this Rikiri right through your body," said Kakashi, his scowl looking something along the lines that he was furious at his opponent. "Is that a fact? Oh my, that really is a shame, because this entire time that you have been fighting me, you haven't just been fighting someone that simply just goes by the title of Shinigami King, but rather the son of the Yondaime himself," said Naruto, pulling down his cloth mask and removed his hat. "You look nothing like him," said Kakashi, though the hair did remind him of one other person that was close to his sensei, but she was long dead. "I suppose with my hair now being red and similar to my mother's hair, then yes, I do not look like him. However, before my hair color naturally changed to red, it was originally blonde, with my eyes being deep blue like depths of ocean themselves. Didn't a certain boy from this village have the same traits?" said Naruto, as he grabbed his sword behind his back and unsheathed it for all to see. "He was not his son. You're not his son. I was the only son he ever had and ever needed in his life," said Kakashi, readying his jutsu to strike and kill his opponent in one shot. "The late Sarutobi Sandaime would disagree with you deeply, Kakashi team, since he was the one who had Namikaze Minato and Uzumaki Kushina in secret. Wasn't there a boy in the village named Uzumaki? He was on Team 7 if I recall correctly. The dead last is you, and everyone else called him, said Naruto, turning the blade to the flat edge would be facing Kakashi. If he was the Yondame's son, then why wasn't the boy Rookie of the Year like Sasuke was? Said Kakashi, his mind slowly going into overload at the thought of possibly having his sensei son on his team and not realizing it. How could I, when I was hated so much? The shinobi guards at the library wouldn't let me in to learn. The Chunin teachers gave me impossible questions no academy student could answer, and my tests were rigged for me to fail from the start. No one would teach me anything while everyone handed everything to Uchiha Sasuke, who was the survivor of the Uchiha clan massacre. I had to work my ass off to get what I needed while Sasuke barely lifted a finger, and when he did, it was you who helped him move it so he wouldn't have to do it alone. You preached of teamwork, yet I was the only one who among Team 7 that did act for the team. How many times did Sasuke or Sakura help with the harder D-rank missions? You, Kakashi-sensei, just looked away while those two assholes I had for teammates did nothing while I had to do all the work. Doesn't matter though, since I am much stronger than the Uchiha, Sakura, and you all combined, since my hard work saved your asses more than once, said Naruto, his eyes blazing with demonic red at his old sensei. In Naruto, said Kakashi, finally catching on to the man's words. Everyone within the stadium that didn't already know about this was shocked, and more of them were paling a deathly shade of white at this news. Most of the people who were cruel to Naruto were also in the stadium as well, and the added fact that the boy that they had treated horribly was the Yondame's son made them feel like crap. But the worst wasn't over, so you finally figured it out just like the other jackasses in this stadium. It really doesn't matter now since I have no love for you, Konoha, and my biological father for what he did to me. The Yondame was just as stupid as the rest of you when he thought he could actually trust the village to take care of his one and only son. The man must have been some kind of naive moron to think that every single arrogant shinobi and civilian in this pathetic shinobi village would honor his dying wish to see me as a hero. All that matters to me now is that when my group and I defend this weak village against the IWA/Sound Alliance, is that my group gets paid a very heavy sum before leaving this Kami-forsaken shithole, said Naruto, as his grip on his sword tightened, ready to strike with keen-like precision. You can't mean that, Naruto? You wouldn't abandon the village your father gave his life for? Said Kakashi, staring at Naruto in disbelief. The village has never given me reason to stay loyal, Kakashi. When I see Konoha, I don't see the great shinobi nation that survived several wars and a one demon attack. All I see is a spoiled, rotten, arrogance-filled dump. And the only redemption I see for this place is that everyone that has wronged me in the past along with my father pays out their asses in both money and blood, said Naruto before moving so fast that everyone thought he had vanished like a ghost. That was of course before Kakashi was seen screaming in pain on the ground, his Rikiri now disengaged, and his hands now clutching his eye where the Sharingan used to be. Naruto was behind him with the eye in question in his left hand, looking at it, as if it were nothing but a simple eyeball before crushing it in his hands, making dark liquid goo in his clenched fist come out. Did he just do what I think he just did? Said Kurenai, now looking at Kakashi's face that was covered from skin to mask in his blood. Yeah, he just removed and crushed the last Sharingan, eyeing Konoha, meaning Sasuke, is the last one with the bloodline in both his eyeballs, said Asuma while Guy was being unusually quiet with his old team beside him watching. Naruto, I think I'd better call the match, said Jiraiya, who was about to when Naruto gave him a hard glare, making the Sannin stop. The match is not over, Jiraiya, until I say that it is over, said Naruto, now scowling at his opponent right before taking his long nodachi of a sword and pierced right into the spinal column of Kakashi's back while behind the Chunin before he easily twisted the blade, so his former sensei would never be the same again. Oh man, Naruto wasn't kidding when he said that he was going to make the people who screwed him over were to pay out their ass, and I'm just glad I'm not one of them. Man, the mere thought of paying the guy back would be too troublesome, thought Shikamaru, shivering slightly at the possible things Naruto was going to do to them all after today. The world does not need people like you as a shinobi Hitaki, and as such I have decided to end your ninja career permanently. Now the fight is over, said Naruto before pulling out his sword, putting it back, picking up his hat, and walked away while several medic ninjas attended to Kakashi. The sheer silence left in the arena by his actions was so incredible no one saw the other Shinigami shadows leave with Hinata. Hokage tower moments later. "This is unacceptable, Hokage-sama," yelled Danzo with his fellow council members, as they now learned the details of the contract she signed. "I think the man more than deserves to get his back pay from this village," said Tsunade unflinchingly at the old members of the council she was stuck with. Get his back pay? More like payback. The amount he's demanding of the village as a whole, from the people in Konoha, and from clans to simple common folk, is unheard of. He could create a whole new village himself with that amount of money, said Hamura, as he simply refused to pay the amount given on the contract. Considering your actions, which led the villagers to do what they did, I think it is more than fair, and unless you are all thinking of not paying or skimping out on your sum, I suggest you don't. Unless, of course, you want to have 10 pounds worth of your own flesh carved out of you by Naruto without any form of painkillers beforehand, said Tsunade, seeing the group before her pale at that statement. You can't be serious, said Koharu, as none of them wanted to do either thing. I'm deadly serious, you old shits. The people of Konoha owe the son of one of, if not the greatest of its heroes, a lot for the crap you all put him through. The village's debts, as well as your own towards Naruto, have long since been unpaid, and by Kami, I am going to see to it that every single person in Konoha pays up one way or another, said Tsunade, as she narrowed her eyes at the council, who wanted to continue protesting, but knew it was pointless. Hokage-sama, said Sakura, as she came into the room with a somewhat frightened, yet angry look on her face. What is it, Sakura? I have paperwork to do, you know, said Tsunade, slightly lying as her shadow clone had a lot of paperwork to do while she went out and get drunk. I want to protest the return of that Baka Naruto. I don't care if he is the Shinigami King, he is not right to be here. Why aren't any of the shinobi attacking him? Said Sakura, and would have started on a rant had Tsunade not punched the woman straight back at her. Say one more word, Sakura, and I'll hit you all the way to Suna Fugara to finish you off, said Tsunade before turning to the council, who were smart enough to keep their flinching muscles in check, and they left before the Hokage could yell at them further. Tsunade needed a drink. Namake's estate. 15 minutes later. Yuso kicked his ass, Naruto, said Zabuza, letting out a cruel laugh, seeing as how the entire group had regrouped as a whole back at the estate. He had it coming, Zabuza. I simply did Konoha a small favor, since any shinobi within its ranks like him are clearly not worthy of being one. What did you think of the fight, my Heim? Said Naruto, drinking some wine that was in the cellar with his mate and future wife. It was nice, Naruto-kun. I don't know if it's the demon side of me or the fact that he hurt you in the past, but I'm glad Kakashi-san suffered at your hands, said Hinata, looking at her mate before she took a sip of wine from her glass. Damn! Even when Hinata drinks, she does it in a very sexy manner, thought Naruto, as he couldn't help but smirk at the sight knowing that she was his mate. Hinata-sama, if I may ask, how is it that Itachi is able to speak? When he was defeated by Naruto-sama, his tongue was ripped out by force, said Yujito curiously, since she had witnessed the action firsthand. Oh, that? Well, the hospital has all sorts of organs in case someone needs one to have a lost limb replaced, and tongues just happens to be one of them. It took several weeks of carefully planned surgery, but after it was attached, Itachi-san was finally able to speak again. It was hard for him to speak at first, but after a few weeks, he could finally say full sentences, said Hinata, having assisted the Hokage for the surgery to proceed. Naruto-sama, we may have a problem, said Kimimaro calmly, looking out the window as he looked at the sight before him. Oh, do tell Kimimaro, said Naruto, looking at his Shinigami shadow curiosity. It seems a large number of people, both villager and shinobi, are headed this way. I can sense ill will from them, even though they are barely at the estate, said Kimimaro, seeing various villagers holding various objects and shinobi with their own weapons of choice. I guess they refuse to pay me financially for what they did to me physically. I guess that means we have to go forward with the alternative form of payment, said Naruto, as he finished his wine and got up from his chair before putting his sheathed sword on his back as he now looked out the window to see the growing sight of the angry mob. You want us to help Naruto-sama? Said Haku, readying his weapons while the others readied their own. No. I will deal with this myself. The rest of you stay here and activate the estate's shield seals to protect it from damage. Yes, Naruto-sama, said Haku and Kimimaro at the same time, while the others watched as Naruto disappeared from their sight. Outside the Namake's estate, Naruto waited patiently until the large form of human beings that were the people of the angry mob were 10 feet away from him, giving him hate-filled looks. He saw everyone from villagers to shinobi in the rank of chunin, jounin, and even a few Anbu as well. Had he stayed his old self, Naruto would have been terrified of the mob or even hurting them, since he wanted proof he was not what they thought he was so they could apologize later for their transgressions. However, Naruto was not his old self, nor was he feeling any of the mercy that a normal human would have given them, since he was no longer human. As the future Fox Demon Lord and ruler of Demon World, such mercy to arrogant human beings was not tolerated, and they needed to be made an example of. "Some things never change, I suppose," said Naruto before turning his head to the house and nodding before a barrier of chakra activated around the estate gates, creating a dome that prevented anyone from getting in unless someone inside let them. "How dare you come back here, you filthy demon? You must feel like you have a lot of guts coming back here," said one of the villagers, who was holding a blunt object similar to a club. "I came home because your Hokage requested my assistance on the upcoming war with 2 other villages. As it stands, Konoha will fall without the 5 Shinigami shadows around to assist in its defense. But if you feel we should leave, I have no problem with that. After I get paid, that is," said Naruto, smirking slightly at them, seeing them all get incredibly angry at the mention of him being paid. "Your payment is going to be in the form of a beating before we kill you," said Sakura, with the others around her cheering at the thought of the idea, and some people even patting her back. "Actually, according to the contract, we receive payment from Konoha in general, and then another in the form of a people as a whole. That means that Konoha will have to pay the entire group twice. And when it comes to the people of Konoha paying us, there are 2 ways that you can pay us before we leave to never bother you again," said Naruto with his smirk now turning into an almost cruel smile. "Almost like we would ever pay you any money, demon," said one of the ANBU with his hand, itching to draw blood out of Naruto. "Well, that is an option gone, leaving only option number 2 as a possible way to pay our group. And personally, it seems only fair that the arrogant people of Konoha get this deal," said Naruto, flexing his right hand under his cape, feeling his bloodlust growing inside of him. "Get them, my son. Make them remember what fear tastes like," said Kyubi, his own bloodlust growing, as well seeing the people through his son's eyes, wishing it was him that was going to be the destroyer of these fools. "And what alternative choice is that, Naruto Baka?" said Sakura, cracking her knuckles as she was going to enjoy pounding him into oblivion like the old days. "You pay me with your flesh and blood," said Naruto, unsheathing his Nodachi while his eyes now blazed with red demonic fury. "You cannot kill us all, Kyubi brat. In your current human state, you are weaker than you were nearly 20 years ago," said a Jounin with a scar running diagonally down his face. "Human? Whoever said I was human anymore? No, I am so much more," said Naruto, as he had unleashed his demonic chakra on them that made them become paralyzed with fear at the sheer magnitude of power he had unleashed. "They are all going to die," said Kimimaro, watching from the window with the others, who nodded in agreement, feeling the enormous amount of power Naruto was releasing. "I am so turned on right now," thought Hinata, feeling the urge to take Naruto then and there. "I am the heir of the Kyubi himself. I am the Prince of Foxes, and I am the reaper of wayward, arrogant souls like yours. I told all of you at the stadium that all of Konoha would pay out their asses one way or another, and you choose to not believe me in the belief that was I bluffing. It was not a bluff," said Naruto, revealing his fox-like fangs before he attacked them with his unmerciful fury. Some of the shinobi tried to fight back, having faced this power before years ago, only to be sliced into hundreds if not thousands of pieces. People tried to run away in the hopes of warning people that the demon was attacking them, in hopes of a greater force would come to kill the monster before them. As they tried to get away, they were instantly cut down, and quite frankly, Naruto didn't really care that they were begging for mercy before he extracted their souls from their bodies. Hokage Tower. Hokage-sama? An angry mob of people are outside of the Namake's estate. They intend on killing the Yondame's son, but he's currently killing them all. "What should we do?" said a Chunin, running into Tsunade's office for instructions. "Just let Naruto do what he needs to do. Those asshole villagers have caused him enough problems. It's high time they paid for it. Have all the deceased assets liquidated into cash, and see that it all gets to Naruto for having to put up with their stupidity," said Tsunade, not wanting to deal with those idiots at the moment. Tsunade just wanted to enjoy her sake, while her shadow clone did the horrible thing known as paperwork. Namake's estate. Sakura was covered in blood. She had been the sole survivor of the massacre that Naruto had created, and now the two stood before each other. They were almost face to face, with Sakura trembling in front of him like a scared pink rabbit in front of an angry fox, which in this case seemed highly appropriate in terms of animal similarity. "Any last words before I rip your head from your body?" said Naruto, walking towards her with a casual grace in his step, while the pink-haired woman in question backed away from her soon-to-be killer. "Stay back! Get away from me, you monster! I'm not going to give you the satisfaction of begging for mercy, knowing you won't give it. You are nothing but an abomination, just like my parents told me about when I was a child, and always said that you would one day show your true colors before destroying the village. To think I was naive enough to give you a chance to prove them both wrong only for them to be right about you," said Sakura, her eyes filled with hate, malice, and anger at this man, who was once on the same team as her. "If I wanted to show mercy to you, Sakura, I would have simply stabbed you in the heart and left you to die in a pool of your own blood like the others around you. However, I'm not going to show you mercy, since you don't deserve any for treating me like crap. As for your parents, like you, they too will be joining you soon, since they need to learn what it means to dishonor the Yondame's dying wish to see me as a hero. And like you, they too will die in a harsh manner fitting for arrogant human scum like yourself," said Naruto, putting away his sword, and took out a simple Senbon needle from a mechanism hidden in his wrist. "Bastard, you leave my parents alone," said Sakura, taking the kunai in hand and stabbed at him with all the speed and strength she had in her body. "It's their own damn fault for being who they are. Deal with it as I make you die slowly," said Naruto after dodging her weak attempt to kill him, moved behind her with unnatural grace, and placed the Senbon needle in the back of her neck in the center point. "I can't move. What did you do to me?" said Sakura, finding her body was paralyzed everywhere from her head down to her very toes as the leg muscles tightened, making her stand completely straight against her will. "I put a Senbon needle in your neck," said Naruto, walking around to face her now inches from her face and staring her right in the eye. What? "I don't understand," said Sakura, finding her body was constricting on itself, feeling blood slowly heading up her body into her head. "I placed it in the center pressure point of the neck, which is very forbidden to do, and as such is not practiced by almost all the shinobi villages," said Naruto, calmly staring at her face that clearly in pain. "Almost," said Sakura, flinching at the feeling of blood filling up in her head. "Yes, Mist Shinobi originally practiced it to get people to talk before they died, either on the battlefield or during interrogations in Mizu. It's called the Kiss of the Dragon. The reason they practice this pressure point technique is simply because of the way that the victims who felt this died in a painful and blood manner, like you will now soon with your parents following suit when I pay them a little visit. Even as we speak, all the blood in your body is heading to your head, where it will stay there and will not come down no matter how hard you try to use your chakra to try and stopping it. However, as soon as I remove this Senbon needle in your neck, all the blood in your head will come out your nose, your ears, even your eyes, and then you will die painfully," said Naruto, scowling at the woman he once cared about, and felt that as he looked back, he had no reason to be sorry that she was about to die at his hands. Sakura had shown him no respect, so in return, she was going to get no mercy from him. "Wait, why you don't have to do this in Naruto-kun? If let me go, I can find a way to help with the other villagers in Shinobi, who still hate you. What did you say in Naruto-kun?" said Sakura, hoping it wasn't too late to continue living in hopes of luring the Fox Prince into a false sense of security before backstabbing him when he least expected it. "Your words are as false as Orochimaru's respect for loyalty from those who serve him, Sakura, and as such I have no regrets ending miserable existence in this world. Actually, quite ironic when you think about it. I saved you from a psychotic Gaara's death grip during the Sand/Sound invasion, and now here we are some 6 years later with you in a near-death situation at my hands. No Sasuke to make you feel all toasty warm inside. No knight in shining armor to save you. And I'm certainly not going to change my mind in letting you die, since there is no way once the needle is in place. So do the shinobi world a favor, Sakura, and die with some dignity like a shinobi should rather than a simple fangirl," said Naruto, reaching around her and pulled the needle out of her, starting the chain reaction, making her body spasm in the process. Naruto stared at her the entire time, not batting an eye of remorse, while she stared back at him with wide eyes of sheer horror, as if she finally understood the ramifications of her actions towards the Fox Prince and wished she could take it back. As the Chunin stared into Naruto's eyes, blood left around them. She knew it was too late to say she was truly sorry, and she died her painful death. She wished she could go back in time to make up for what she had done to him. Her wish would not be granted. They say the pen is mightier than the sword, while I say that the Sunbond needle is even mightier than the pen, said Naruto, turning around to head back inside the estate, and threw the Sunbond needle back, landing point up amongst the flesh remains that now lay outside of his family estate. He needed to eat something before set out to kill the rest of the Haruno family. Hokage Tower. 30 minutes later. Hokage-sama, this is inexcusable. The damn demon killed civilian and shinobi alike as they protested his term of receiving payment as given in the contract. He had no right in killing them, and we plan to appeal to the Fire Daimyo in removing the protection order he gave the beast, said Danzo, having lost several spies amongst both parties of the mob as a whole when it came to knowing things in and out of Konoha. They were trespassing Danzo, and you know it. They wanted to beat Naruto to a bloody pulp before trying to kill him themselves, so don't try to give me that poor excuse of self-defense. If they wanted to protest him being here, then they should have come to me, but instead they went to Naruto's home and knew that they were trespassing. The fact that they were all killed means nothing except they chose to pay Naruto for his service to Konoha in the secondary manner stated in the contract rather than the first. If you have problems with the contract, then take it up with Naruto himself. But don't complain to me that the man is finally getting what he wants from the people who deprived him of it in the first place, said Tsunade, pointing her finger to the doors to make them leave, having enough of their complaints and bitching for today. This isn't over, Tsunade, said Hamura, glaring at Tsunade, before they all left, vowing to make the woman and the QB brat pay for this outrage. When this is over, I expect a replacement of council members who know what the hell they are doing and have the best interest for Konoha in mind, said Tsunade, wishing she could have Naruto kill them all and let one of her shadow clones sort it out later amongst the large pile of paperwork that would come because of it. Barbecue restaurant. Man, I can't believe Naruto was the Shinigami king the entire time. I mean, just when I thought that the man couldn't get any more troublesome, he pulls this on us, and now look what he did to Hatake-sen, said Shikamaru, though he had to admit Kakashi was a bad influence and never really acted like a real shinobi. Yash! I cannot believe it either, Shikamaru-san. Gai-sensei was shocked to see someone who was even faster than him at his best, and was even more surprised at how Naruto had crippled Hatake-san for life after piercing his spinal column with his Nodachi, said Lee, having seen his former Jounin sensei's look of sheer shock at what happened. I can't believe what he said about being the Yondame's son. I mean, all the time people were being mean to him, and he was actually the son of a hero, only be treated with such cruelty, said Tenten, had always admired the fourth Hokage for his heroism, and had never had the chance to even thank Naruto for bringing Tsunade, who was her idol, back to Konoha to become the fifth Hokage. You remember what Naruto said though, correct? He hates his father for what happened, and was adopted by the very demon Lord the Yondame sealed in him. Despite most of the people in the Leaf being hateful, I have always believed that Naruto was never in any shape or form a demon at birth. But because of that hate from Konoha that he has felt all his life, Naruto has decided to reject his humanity. In short, the boy now man has become what most of the villagers as well as shinobi have always feared he would become. He has become a self-fulfilling prophecy forged from Konoha's own unjustified fears due to what is inside of him, said Shino, having felt the uneasiness of people when they looked at him or other members of his clan due to who they were and their bloodline limit. He didn't deserve all that hatred from the adult from the old generation. We should go over to the estate and apologize for not doing anything about it, said Choji before eating several more ribs from his plate. Hey guys, did you hear? A mob of people tried to attack Naruto and he killed them all. Sakura was part of the group too, said Kiba, running into the restaurant and finding the other rookies sitting down to eat. What? Forehead girl is dead, said Ino, shocked that her childhood and best friend had been killed by Naruto. Yeah. She was apparently the last of the mob to die since he killed everyone else before her, said Kiba, having overheard the information from a couple of people. It's not like she didn't deserve it, said Niji, earning him shocked looks from the others, who didn't expect him to be so casual about it. Why do you say that? Said Kiba, who like the others wanted to know why. The entire time Naruto has been gone, Sakura has done nothing but smear his name in the ground, telling everyone how she always thought he was a demon, and how Naruto was always putting Sasuke down. How many times did Hinata-sama put her in hospital after she heard Sakura say these things. The Haruno was a fangirl shinobi wannabe, who would have sold out us or the village itself to the Uchiha for a date, or on the belief that Sasuke would let her give birth to his children. She was more of pain alive than she is now dead, said Neji calmly, and everyone reluctantly saw his point of view in that aspect, though a part of them still missed her since they had known her since they were kids. You have a point, man, said Kiba, knowing how the girl always tried to hurt Naruto for the slightest thing with the exception of breathing, and even then he could have sworn that Sakura tightened her fist ready to punch him for that too. Well, I don't know about the rest of you, but I am going to go talk to Naruto and at least offer him the friendship that he has long been deprived of, said Neji, getting up from his table to see the very man who defied fate and cut through it like a blade. The rest soon followed, wishing to do the same. Namikaze states sometime later, "Well, this certainly is a surprise. To be honest, I half expected you to all join Sakura with the angry mob that was outside my home not long ago," said Naruto, sitting in his large living room with the other rookies sitting before him. "We are the arrogant villagers or shinobi that would stoop so low as to hate you for who or what you are without getting to know you, Naruto. All you have ever done is bring life to everyone and everything around you while sacrificing everything you want in return," said Shino, smiling under his heavy-set clothes, as he, as well as the others, saw the new and quite possibly improved Hyuga, Hinata, sitting next to him on his couch. When they first arrived at the estate, the rookies had seen the bloody corpses were still outside his home, since the waste disposal unit had not come by to clean up the mess. They had been nervous, of course, hoping that Naruto or his fellow Shinigami shadows didn't start killing them off right away, thinking they were sent to kill him. When the one known as Black Angel came to the door, the figure let them in without hesitation and seemed to greet them with a warm welcome. Poor Neji nearly had a heart attack seeing his cousin with her new features. At first, the Hyuga girl wanted to keep her features hidden, but Naruto wanted them all to see her without the hinge and to understand what exactly he had done to Hinata. The group was shocked by this, but understood that as a demon lord, Naruto needed to have a mate who he knew could return his love and live just as long as he could. It wasn't hard to see why Hinata was the way she was after the explanation, but still it did not help Neji's poor heart over the fact the two had done that to make it happen. Hinata herself didn't mind, since she could become the Hyuga clan's watchful eye from afar and step in should the clan become arrogant and cruel like the old days of the elders. Naruto and her both agreed that while they would eventually leave Konoha after a while, when they no longer be able to live in the Leaf, they would return later down the road to keep an eye on the future generations and protect them from trouble that came from the inside or outside of the village. That's good to hear. I can trust you now to help secure Konoha's future long after this war is over. How are Konohamaru Corps doing? Said Naruto, hoping the younger group of kids before him were doing all right. They miss you deeply, Naruto. If it weren't for the fact that they are all on a mission with their sensei, Ebisu, right now, they would be here to greet you, said Neji, having met the trio and found much of Naruto's past self had rubbed off on the Sandame's grandson. Even the sexy jutsu, which Neji would never admit, got caught in one day and received a huge nosebleed for it. When they return, I need one of you to tell them I'm back in Konoha and I want to see them, said Naruto, scratching Hinata's fox ears as she left kisses on his neck, purring as she did. Get a room, you two, said Ino and Tenten at the same time, as they were now blushing at the sight of the two lovers' affection, while the guys were all starting to get nosebleeds thinking of that special someone who could do that with them. Only the Shinigami shadows seemed unaffected by it. Why? It's my house, said Naruto, licking Hinata's fox ear, making the woman let out a sensual moan before she started to move to straddle him, so they could have more fun. We're leaving, yelled Ino and Tenten, quickly taking their boyfriends and the other males of the rookies with them, so they don't become perverts. Some things never change, said Naruto, as he signaled for his fell Shinigami shadows to leave him alone with Hinata, so they could make better use of the couch they were on. They would later need a new couch. Thanks so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed exploring this What If with me. If you did, please consider leaving a like and subscribing for more videos like this. Your support truly makes a difference, and I'd love to hear your thoughts in the comments. Let me know what you'd like to see next. Until next time, take care and stay tuned for more.